Welcome to class. And today we're going to do a little short sequence for the shoulder and the upper back, just for the tech neck, right? We do a lot of forward movement. And to start with, you're going to find a block. If you don't have it, books, totally fine. And a pair of balls. It can be playing balls, it can be things that you use, just tennis, things like that. Put it in a pair of socks so they hold into a peanut shape together. And you're going to come onto your bum here. So you can lie your upper back onto the ball. Okay, a little bit further. Here. There you go. And bring your hands around the head. And just take a moment here first. How does that feel? Feels okay? Yeah. So the ball should be on either side of the spine towards the upper part of the back. You can see it from Celia's back here. And from here, hug your elbows towards your face. And you're just going to do a little up and down. So lifting your chin in towards your chest and releasing it back down. And you can do it as fast or slow as it suits you. You think about this movement as a fine-tuning. Those muscles that is a little bit slow, a little bit sleepy, we're trying to find them right now by the pressure. And the balls we're using today is quite firm, so you will really feel them. So as you're rolling up and down, this ball is going to rock, sort of massaging on either side of your spine, just going up and down. You're just going to do a few more like that. For those of you who feel not so much, you might lift your hips off of the floor and do the same thing. You don't have to. And it would increase the pressure and make it quite a bit stronger. Now, if the spot you're at right now doesn't feel that intense anymore, you can move a little. So move your whole body, walking a little further away from the block or walking further towards the block. So you're moving, just adjusting the position a little bit. I'm just going to be here for a little bit more. And every time you feel like you're tensing up, like your jaws and your shoulders, pause and stop for a moment first. So you can really find still space to relax through these intense sensations. And just do about 2 more, maybe move your hips further away from the ball so you can move the ball further up into your spine. Yeah, it's sore. And Celia's doing a really good job still breathing. That's very important as well. Now when you're ready, just roll off to the sides, roll to your left side, so you can get out of this position, removing everything, and come sit. Let's face the camera so we can see what's going on. And sit in any position that allows your spine to be long. And just take a moment here and feel your back. Maybe noticing that pulsing or the ghost, that residue of the pressure from before. Yeah, so we are going to do that. So begin to just very softly turn your head from one side to the other, left and right. Let's move this a little further away from us. Now, when you're ready, bring your hands to the side. Make fist with your hands. Imagine your wrists and your elbows are not bending at all, they're stiff. And lift your shoulder up towards your face, as high up as you can. Really elevate it. And from here, squeeze your shoulder blade up and back behind you. So it's the top tip, inner corner of your shoulder blade together. Now begin to draw it down, but keep squeezing it together. So bottom inner corner together. And bring it forward, spreading the shoulder blade, rounding the back a little bit. And lifting up, keep it rounded forward. And continue this circle, just 2 more like that. And your job is to try to find the biggest movement on each direction. And as best as you can, keeping your spine still. It's your shoulder that's working right now. And just the last circle in this direction. Now, opposite direction. Bring your shoulder bit back and down first. Yeah, exactly. And go on. And maybe noticing if there's any particular spot that feels less mobile, that is a little bit more awkward. Maybe give it a bit more time, a bit slower in those places. Good. And releasing it. And reach your arms up in towards the ceiling. We're just going to do a little elevation. As you lift your arms, notice how your ribs would like to come forward. Can you very softly hug your ribs in? And lift your arms as far up towards your face as you can. It feels like your shoulder is starting to elevate upwards. Yeah. So we want this reaching movement on both sides. And we're going to do 10 of these, releasing it down, lifting it up, and releasing. 8 more, 8, and down, and 7, and down, and 6, and down, and 5, 4, 3, and 2, and the last one. And stay here, squeeze, 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 lift it even higher, and still hugging the front ribs in just a touch. And slowly releasing your hands back down to the side. Take a moment, maybe feel your hands, your shoulders, where it feels a little fuzzy, a little vibration. Now, when you're ready, come onto your hands and your knees and facing the chair over here. And the chair can be any number of height. Ideally, we want it to be somewhere about the height of your back. And maybe just start with a little cat and cow, dropping your belly, reach your heart forward as you inhale. And exhale, press your baby fingers in round the back, suck the front body in. And just do 2 more like that. Inhale, belly down, heart forward. And exhale, sucking front body in. And just the last one of each side. And sucking front body in. Now, noticing how it feels in your back right now, that broadness in your upper back, we want to kind of keep this sensation. And from here, walk your hands up onto the chair. You want your hands to be about shoulder width, so a little bit wider perhaps. Press your palms down and think about you lifting your armpit and still lifting the back of your heart. Can you lift, the spine, the part that you were massaging before. Now from here, remember that elevation in the shoulder when we lift the arm? Reach your shoulder up and forward. So you feel that feeling in your shoulders coming up in towards your ears more. There you go. And actively reach your butt back behind you and feel your belly will lift in like that. Now for you, you might be able to walk your knees a little bit further back, so you make space. And we want your knees to be just about underneath the hips. And keep the feeling that you keep reaching. Take an inhale. And exhale, look toward the chair. And drop your chest towards the floor a little bit more. Can you feel anything in your shoulder, in your armpit now? Yeah. So we don't want it to be on the top of the shoulder. It should be somewhere in the armpit, maybe even the side ribs area. Great. And take one more moment here and still keeping the activity and look forward. Still, we want to keep a little bit of activity here. So as you lift your head, you will feel your upper back muscles starting to active. You feel that? Now, your left hand stay. Bring your right hand on the outer side of your shoulder right here. So underneath and hugging like this. Great. Now keep reaching your hands forward and your hip back. And use your hand to spin the skin of your shoulder down. And as you're spinning the shoulder blade, pulling it down, dropping, and you will feel a little bit more intense into the armpit. And you don't want it to go too deep, of course, just as everything else. So just enough place, something about 70-80%. And we're going to stay about 5 breaths here, looking forward still. Yeah, this is very good opening for this side and this armpit area. The places that feels traditionally very stiff when we don't use the arm up overhead a lot. I'm just going to do 2 more breaths right here. And even though it doesn't look like it's staying very long, it can feel quite a lot. Last breath. Okay, releasing your right hand, releasing your left hand. Take a moment just to feel. And sometimes when you come out, it can feel a little dizzy. It's completely normal. You okay?
Super intense.
If you want to move a little bit more in the spine, in that little cat-cow shape, it can also be a more free form, just a little wave with the spine from side to side as well, if that feels good. Good. And you already know what we're doing on this side. Once again, remind yourself how to broaden your shoulder blade first. Yeah. Before you reach both of your hands onto the chair. And have the feeling you're really actively reaching, like your shoulders lifting close towards your ears. Suck your belly and reach your butt back, inhale. Yeah, and slowly allow your chest to melt any amount. And you're looking just slightly forward, maybe even to this edge of the chair here. That gives you a little bit more lift in your upper back. When you feel that, when you have enough, you can bring your left hand onto the outer back part of your shoulder blade. Maybe even imagine you're trying to grab up the shoulder blade and pulling it down and towards the floor. So it feels as though the skin, yeah, exactly. And you feel this kind of outer edge of your shoulder blade really quite intense now. It's about 5 long breaths here. You okay? And deep breath in towards your belly each time. And a soft hug in with your navel into the spine as you breathe out. Last 2 here. Last one. And release your left hand, your right hand. Ooh. Maybe find a child's pose for a moment, just to let that go inside. And because we're focusing on shoulders, perhaps think about moving your elbows further out and away from one another. And notice that opens up the space across your shoulder blade and the space just around your neck. And notice what you feel very intense before begin to melt and feel less obvious. Yeah. And when you're ready, slowly roll up to sit onto your hips. We're going to do a little bit more activation in the shoulder first. Find yourself into that cat-cow again, hands underneath the shoulders. And we want this cat-cow to be quite a square one, so your wrist is right underneath the shoulders. Now from here, lift your right arm up in towards the ceiling and open the chest. Notice your hips want to move. Can you draw both of your butt back and hug your belly in? Yeah. Now bend your right arm and touch your hand maybe side of the face, maybe behind the head. Bring this left shoulder right on top of the wrist again and take an inhale right here. And exhale, can you lean back with this shoulder, reach your elbow back. So maybe even imagine you're grabbing your shoulder blade together. So this part's starting to light up. Take one more inhale right here. And exhale, pointing it down so your chest facing parallel to the floor. Inhale, lifting up, squeeze your shoulder blade together. And exhale, pointing your elbow at me. You're gonna do 5 more like that. Can you feel your upper back working like that? Yeah. And these are really good strengthening exercise for the upper back muscle that we typically don't use very often. Even though it doesn't look very complicated, you probably feel it quite a bit. And just do 2 more like that. And last one. Fantastic. And slowly releasing your right hand back down. And we'll switch. Left arm up into the sky, open the chest. Bend your elbow and touch your fingers on the side of your head, maybe just behind. Take your inhale, reach your shoulder blade together, maybe elbow at me a bit more. And then exhale, pointing your elbow right across, your chest parallel to the floor. Yeah. And inhale, pointing up, squeeze shoulder blade together. And exhale, finding the neutral position. And do 3 more like that. And working on finding the end range. And so every time your left elbow point up, really squeeze your back of the shoulder blade together. And just 2 more. Yeah, good. And the last one like that. Ooh. Your left hand back down. And come and sit onto your heels. Can you feel your upper back now? Now, we're going to go on and move this upper back more. Hug your fingertips just around your ribs. It's like you're pregnant. And try to push your ribs into your hands, so you're pushing forward. We don't do this very often, but we want to stick our butt back this time. And begin to reach your shoulder and reach your elbows together. It's almost as if you're trying to touch your elbows behind you. Yeah. And notice the front of your chest will broaden. And keep pushing your chest, your ribs forward. Puff your heart and begin to lift your head. Maybe even lean back a little bit. And notice the difference between dropping your head versus if you lift the back of your head and just imagine you're trying to press the back of your skull just a little bit behind you. Can you feel this muscle here working? And take one more inhale, pushing your ribs forward and stick your butt. Maybe even imagine trying to grab your elbows all the way behind. And exhale, looking down and rounding through the back, elbows forward. And inhale, puffing your chest forward, elbows back, and really reach and activate your whole back of the muscle. Maybe even lift your chin just a touch. And exhale, chin down, rounding as best as you can. And just 2 more like that. Inhale. So this is kind of a very active version of that cat-cow that we normally do. And exhale, rounding forward. And just the last one. Really stay here this time. Think about you trying to draw your shoulders back and down. And squeeze your elbow. And push your ribs into your hands actively. Just last breath here. And slowly rounding the last time. Reach your elbows far forward and round and puff. And slowly bring your hands down onto your legs. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm gonna do just the last one. A little bit more activation in your upper back muscle. And are you happy sitting with your knees like this? Yeah. Bring your hips all the way to the edge of the wall. So you sit as far back as you can. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna put a block in your upper back where your bar strap is. So lean forward a tiny little bit. I'm gonna put it here and press your back onto it. Yes, and lift your arms up in towards the sky. Now, noticing once again the ribs want to come forward. Can you imagine you're trying to suck your belly in and back towards your lower back, your spine? Now keep that. Take an inhale, lift your arms and elevate your shoulder as hard as you can. And exhale, trying to touch your thumb into the wall. Oh, you're good. Inhale, coming forward, maybe rounding a tiny little bit, looking down. And exhale, elevate your shoulder, reach back and touch. And do 5 more like this. Reaching back. And still has quite a lot of space in her shoulders, I can see, and she's quite strong in her upper back. So she is actually a candidate to do a slightly more active version, a little bit more complicated, perhaps a little bit stronger. Now release your hands down. You're just gonna remove this block and come and stand onto your feet. And stand with your bum all the way against the wall. You want to stick your butt all the way against the wall. Lift your arms in towards the sky. And still finding a little bit hugging sensation there. Now from here, remember how we do when we reach your ribs forward, but keep your lower belly hugged in. Reach your arms up. Keep having this arch in the spine and begin to reach your fingertips to touch the wall behind you. Yes. So you're gonna do about 4 here. And rounding your back a tiny bit, look down as you breathe in. And exhale, reaching up and reach your fingertips back. Puff your heart forward and reach back. Fantastic. And just 2 more like that. Is your lower back happy there? Yeah, cool. And just the last one. And there you go. And yes, release your arms and just let it rest. So that's the very short sequence for the shoulders and the upper back. You should feel just a combination of stretching and activity. Yeah, and see you on your next class.